Hey guys, I hope you're doing awesome. I am coming to you today to talk to you about this beautiful Italian expression that I've been introduced to, and I'm sure I've heard it before, but just never paid attention, and I hope I say it correctly, but it's dolce far niente. And of course, that's with my beautiful English accent that I'm saying. Dolce, which means, I believe, sweet. Far niente means do nothing. So the sweetness of doing nothing. And I was introduced by this because I was watching Eat, Pray, Love, which I had seen before, but obviously the universe speaks to us in many ways, and when we're listening, we'll get the messages. And I have been guided for several weeks now to deepen my meditation practice, to deepen my practicing of doing nothing, of just sitting there and letting myself be quiet enough to be guided. But something in me has been resisting it for a while now. I don't know why. I guess it's my brain, my ego telling me, you cannot just do nothing and things are going to happen. So I've been thinking of all the things that I should be doing or need to be doing. And everywhere around me, people were talking about, oh, I'm going to sit 6 hours in meditation. Oh, I want to deepen my spiritual meditation practice. I've even gotten emails of spiritual running buddies saying, hey, you want to deepen your meditation with me? And friends of mine saying, here's the meditation on YouTube. So many different signs calling me to really learn how to sit and do nothing. And I have been meditating a while, but I think this is something. Your voice of love definitely guides you to the next level. So God comes into your life and says, okay, you're ready. I want to take you to the next place. Will you come with me? And it's up to us whether we go there or not. So when I read this when I heard this in the movie, I was just like, oh wow. I was like, the sweetness of doing nothing. I thought, maybe I've had enough messages. Maybe I need to listen. So I'm coming to you today with this message of dolce far niente and I think the R is silent. So I think it's fa niente, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm sorry I didn't check this out, but Italian is not a language that I'm fluent in, even though it's very beautiful and I would love to learn it. But the point here is that many of us feel in our lives that we cannot sit still. And all of us have this to a certain degree. It's almost like a disease that we have, that we cannot sit still. And not only can we not sit still, but we feel guilty when we sit still, or we feel that we need to be doing something at all times. And if we're not doing something, we're not getting where in life. We don't know what we're doing. We're lazy. We're bums. Whatever the case may be that comes up for us, these feelings of fear or guilt or anxiety when we're actually doing nothing. So it's very hard for us, especially in our society today here in North America, for us to really know how to take a break and just sit down and be like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. And to be clear, I think a lot of this has to do with your mental state. So it doesn't mean necessarily do nothing, just sit down. And meditation is that, so it could be that. But I think it could also just be do nothing as far as like stop that consistent activity in your brain that goes on for most of us. All the list of things that we need to do, all the list of things that we have to do, all the list of things that we think we should be doing, all the things that we should be doing, and if we don't do, what will happen if we don't do them. I mean, we just have 101 thoughts sometimes going on in our brain. And what I feel when I hear this expression, the sweetness of doing nothing, is really that we have to understand that it's in the stillness that we can really connect to this part of us that is God, that knows better than us. It's not in the running around in the chaotic crap that we're going to hear God speak to us. And a lesson that I've been practicing from the Course in Miracles this is my second week doing it now, is really to understand that the hush of heaven, is what the Course calls it, really has the answers to everything. And it really is the guidance system that I'm trying to tap into, that is already a part of me, and that I just have to remember it. So in that hush, all your answers have already been answered. All your questions, have already been answered. All your conflicts have been resolved. Everything that you need has already been given to you. But you cannot receive that, and you cannot listen to that if you are too noisy, if you have too much to say, if you don't know how to quiet down enough. And like I said, a lot of this has to do with internal stuff. And for all of us, we can approach this very differently. So I always encourage people that not everybody practices meditation, to do something else. I mean, it's not maybe the wisest thing when you're already in a state of franticness to try to learn how to meditate. That might not work out very well, because then you might start feeding yourself feelings of like, I can't do this, I can't stay quiet, and there's still going to be the noise. But anything for us that is fun usually quiets our mind. Maybe it's a great movie that you want to watch that just gets you away for a little bit. Maybe it's a book that you've been dying to read. Maybe it's just going to the playground and swinging on a swing. Maybe it's playing with your kids. Maybe it's, I don't know, going and watching a sunset. You know, whatever it is, maybe it's going and running on a treadmill. That works amazing for me, just running on a treadmill. See, physically, I am doing something, I'm running, but mentally is where I'm really quiet when I'm on the treadmill. I just feel like I'm focused on just running. And if I don't, I tend to fall off. So it's like, especially if I'm going really fast, I have to focus. I have to just be there. So that's the beauty of whatever activity that comes up for you. It's an activity where you're really fully able to just be present in the moment. So when I think of this beautiful expression that has come into my life, the sweetness of doing nothing, I really want to leave you with that idea that it is important to cultivate the sweetness of nothing in our lives in some form or way. If it's not meditation for you, find a different way where you can really just quiet your mind, is where you're really going to learn how to do nothing. To realize that all our creativity and inspiration doesn't come from our thinking mind, believe it or not. All the things that I have written, all the things that I have said, there's a flow that comes to it where like the words just kind of come out. And if I start thinking about what I'm going to say next or what I'm going to write next, all of a sudden I have like what they call writer's block, or I'm just blocked up and I don't know what to say because there's not a flow to it. It's like I'm working too hard, I'm thinking too hard, I'm trying too hard to make it happen, whether it's I'm speaking or I'm writing or I'm designing or whatever it is for you that you're doing. Think about it and you know it to be true. Feel it and you know it to be true. That when you're trying to think of the next thing or trying to figure out the next thing, it just becomes a lot more difficult if you just let it come to you. And this is what really I think the sweetness of nothing does. I don't know if this is what the Italian culture has in mind when they talk. I don't know if they correlate it to meditation. You know, I don't think Italian culture and meditation doesn't really go hand in hand, but I feel that it does. And this is how the voice of love brought it to me. It brought it to me as you see, I've been asking you to do nothing, to just sit there and listen to me, and you haven't been doing it. So maybe if I give it to you in Italian, since you love Italian so much, you'll pay attention. And sure enough, yes, I did pay attention because it was different. It wasn't like I was reading this, spiritual Deepak Chopra book or whatever. And just remember that a lot of times spirit doesn't speak to us just in those particular ways. And many of us fall into this idea that, the hush of heaven only comes through a spiritual book, or only comes through Reiki music, or only comes through yoga, or only comes through whatever. It does come through those ways, and those are beautiful ways of connecting to that hush of heaven, but it's not the only way. And really let your voice of love, your spirit, guide you to what really brings you inspiration. This morning I woke up and I had something tell me, listen to the music that really is going to put you in a mood of being inspired. And Frank Sinatra is what I played. Most of the mornings I wake up and I play Reiki music to just kind of get me settled and kind of get me in the spirit of like, okay, let's get ready for the day. But today was Frank Sinatra, and there was nothing wrong with that. So really, the sweetness of nothing is really going to make something out of the nothingness. And the point is that you really need that nothingness to really bring your life to fruition. It's really more difficult, and there's more of a not flow to life when you don't take those moments to really let the nothingness be there. So I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Sweetness of nothing. So practice doing nothing. However that looks for you, it does not need to be meditation, but it can be. Meditation is super awesome. Whatever it is, practice doing nothing. Allow yourself to be doing nothing in your mind especially, and realize that it's a beautiful thing. You're going to hear God communicate to you through that nothingness. You're going to be able to hear that still voice that knows best, that already knows everything that you need to know, but you cannot hear it if you're chaotic. So, dolce fa niente, and excuse me and forgive me to all the beautiful Italian-speaking people out there that I'm mispronouncing this, but my intentions are in the best of ways, and I love your language, and hopefully one day I'll speak it too. Bye!